All right, so the main idea for this lesson, well, there's two key ideas, but the first key idea is that, there we go, two lines that have the same slope will always be parallel. All right, it's kind of a no-brainer. You probably already knew that. But if you notice these two lines, the red one here, it goes up one and then over three. And the blue one, it goes up one and then over three. That means that those two things are going to be parallel for as long as they both shall live. All right, they will never cross, and that's fact number one. All right, so put it in your pocket, like keep it. Two lines that are parallel, they're going to have the same slope. There we go. Now this one's not so obvious. So these two lines are not parallel. What they are is they are perpendicular to each other. So notice here where they cross, that's the idea. Where they meet is at a right angle, right? Yep, there it is. So that's a special relationship. And so there's something to do with the slope, whenever that goes on. But two lines that meet at a right angle, they are perpendicular. So you can tell that, the slopes have to be negatives of each other. So if one's going uphill, the other one has to be going downhill. That's true. The other fact is not so obvious, all right, the relations between the slope. I put red line and red line. I guess I meant blue line for one of these. Yeah. Yeah, this is probably supposed to be blue line right here. Anyway, if you look at the slope of the red line, all right, let's count this up. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over 3. So the slope of the red one is 4 over 3. And the slope of the blue one is negative 3/4. It says down here already. It's down 3 and over 4 from point to point there. All right, now in words, the way that you would say this, the definition is we would say that these two lines, the slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So they're obviously negatives. One's positive, one's negative. That has to be true. But the other part is that they have to be reciprocals of each other. All right, so 4/3 and 3/4. Nope. Oh, there it is. They are negative reciprocals. But reciprocal is where you flip the fraction. Okay, let me go ahead and look at a couple more examples here. So yeah, these are the main ideas. Like if I stopped the video right here, this is all you really need to know to do every bit of this work. The rest of it's probably just examples and deductive reasoning. So we said that lines that are perpendicular, the slopes will be negative reciprocals of each other. So one positive, one negative. So here's another example. If the slope of one was 6 over 7, the slope of the other one, it would have to be a reciprocal and it would have to be negative of this one. So you change the signs and flip the fraction. Okay. An example here. So if you start with 1/3, well, you got to flip that, which would make it 3 over 1 and make it negative. All right. So I guess the reciprocal of 1/3 would actually just be 3. All right. So again, like let's say you started with, let's say you started with -4. If that was the slope of your original, well, the negative reciprocal of that would be positive 1/4. Okay, hopefully you see what's going on there. And then this one's usually the one that trips people up. The negative reciprocal of -1, that's just going to be positive 1. Okay, so it's like if you took -1 and thought of it as a fraction, it'd be -1 over 1. And if you flipped that, well, you still wind up with 1 over 1. Okay, so positive 1 and -1 are negative reciprocals of each other. Nice. All right, so got those two things memorized and in your piggy bank? I hope so. All right, these are the questions that are gonna do you in. All right, I'm gonna ask them a million times. You're given two lines, two equations, whether they are in point slope or slope intercept form, or it may be some other vague information. But you have to determine whether the two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. All right, so if I look at this second option here, so the slope is negative 2/3, and the slope over here, this one's in point slope form, it's also negative 2/3. That would tell us that these two lines are parallel to each other. All right, that's all you're doing is identifying whether they are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And you don't have to graph it to find out. That'd be crazy. All right, this first one, the slope is positive 1/2, and over here, the slope is negative 2. Well, notice they are negatives of each other, and they are reciprocals of each other. All right, the reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. The reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. So these would be perpendicular to each other. So you can just put perp, or if you want to be fancy, you can draw this symbol right there. That means perpendicular. Okay. And then the last one here, the slope is positive 2, and over here the slope is negative 2. So they are negatives of each other, but they are not negative reciprocals. All right. So this means nothing. All right. There's no special relationship between the slopes here. So they are not parallel because they're not the same slope, and they are not perpendicular. Right? So they are neither parallel or perpendicular. All right, we'll do some more examples here in a bit.